can I become like Ichigo, Bleach's main character, in the next 7 days with the help of a 30-year kendo veteran and my skills as a chef. Sensei told me I have 7 days until he'll test my skills, so until then, I'm going to eat and train like Ichigo.
Faster. Fast. So slow.
Let's begin. But first, the research. Is this even possible? During the original seasons of Bleach, Ichigo's around 15 years old, and when he defeats Aizen, he's around the same age. But I also want to consider during the 1,000-Year Blood War, which all of us are watching right now, he's 18 years old. And according to his character profile, he is around 145 pounds, which I'm going to actually round up to 150 because he's pretty lean. I'm also going to say he's doing an active lifestyle, right? Because he obviously is during all of his training, and these are the numbers we get. But I'm actually going to do the high protein version, so that way he can continue to build a bunch of muscle. So here are my final numbers. 228 grams of protein, 300-ish grams of carbs, and 68 grams of fat. Now, even though I know how to eat like Ichigo, I have to learn how to train like him, and for that, I'm gonna go learn some kendo.
This is Tilt Sensei. He has 30 years of kendo experience under his belt, and he's going to show me the ropes for the next week. And I have to say, his entire house really reminded me that I was training with someone like Mr. Miyagi. And before we even started practicing, Tilt Sensei had to give me a shinai because the one I brought was meant for a child.
It feels so powerful, just like being handed one. I don't know if that makes sense, because the other one I just ordered on like Amazon. So like actually being given one feels kind of nice. This is Tilt Sensei of the Obukan Kendo Club out here in Portland, and he's going to give me the rundown on kendo. And this is going to be an accelerated program from what I understand. I don't know what we're getting into. I'm actually really excited. I've never done this before.
First thing is, kendo is really about developing our own character and spirit.
Okay.
The main goal is to perfect ourselves. It's a martial art that we have a lot of deep respect for. Part of that respect is respect for our partner or our opponent. Wear the hat. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
I don't know.
You can keep the hat if you want to.
No, because I have never done martial arts with a hat on, so I was like, okay, we won't start now.
Okay. Well, you have awesome hair. I have no hair, so no hat is good.
Now, before you get started, you have to practice the first step.
First part is mokuso. So you put your hands like this. Yep. And nice posture. We'll close our eyes. We'll breathe 3 times, and then we'll be done. So mokuso. Mokuso yame. Otegai ni, which means to each other. Hands down here. Right. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Oh, you said that pretty well. Have you said that before?
Yes.
Okay, so you know what it means?
Yes.
Awesome.
I think it means like it's like a welcoming, right? Or like,
yeah. It's like, let's practice together.
Perfect.
And that's when we started our very first exercise. We had to begin with hand placement on the shinai as well as feet placement.
You slide on the balls of your feet.
Oh yeah, that is a lot harder than it seems.
My feet are just having a hard time with this.
You know, one thing you can do is just walk out on the back deck for a minute and it'll dry your feet off.
Oh, like powder it off.
A little dust.
Let me do that.
Yeah, do that.
And so off I went to dust my feet. And even with my feet dusted, I was still so slow.
Faster. Fast. So slow. My kids do it much better than I.
Oh man.
I was absolutely undeterred from this.
Oh, still dragging.
Better. That's better. Yep.
I also had to do this backwards, which felt completely different. And after around an hour and a half of footwork, we finally got to swing the shinai.
Right foot out. Men.
And I will admit, this was my favorite part.
Men.
Just listen to this power.
Right, and now we're gonna go backwards. So left foot back while we come up, and then right foot snaps in.
We had to practice going forwards and backwards while swinging the sword, and I will admit I felt very out of place. That's when we took the instruction a little further.
Now you try. Oh, okay, that's good, that's good. Try to barely tap my shinai.
Okay.
Right at the last second. That's it, right there.
And with a little bit of encouragement from Tilt Sensei, I felt a lot more confident.
Hey, hajime! 1, 2, 3, 4, go!
Getting to this point felt really, really good, but Tilt Sensei said there is one more thing he needs to teach me.
Hajime! 1, 2, 3, 4. Bigger swing.
This is going to be the cardio that I do throughout the week to make sure that I am ready for this test.
So you might not be able to do that for as many minutes as you do the other things, because this cardio is tough.
Yeah, I can feel it already.
Hi, and the last one we'll finish with is mokuso, which you've done before. Good posture, relaxed, eyes closed. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty fired up to get started and see how much I can improve before the end of the week.
Domo arigatou gozaimashita.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Hi. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're a great
amazing.
student. You learn really fast.
Thank you.
Now I have to be back here in 7 days, so we have a lot of work to do. I'm going to be making a bunch of Tokyo-inspired dishes and training twice per day to get ready for my test. My friends, it's time to become Ichigo.
Oh man, my feet. Oh, this is already starting off bad. Okay. Ich, ni, ju, shich, hach. I didn't even start the timer. And I'm already gassed. We're just gonna add 5 minutes to that.
5 minutes of footwork and swing doesn't sound like a lot, does it?
Oh man. Oh yes, this is gonna be rough.
Even after being gassed from just the sword swings and the footwork, I still had the cardio to do. Yes, 1 full minute of cardio.
Oh, this is rough. Oh, I feel so out of shape. Oh, that was a minute. Oh my God, I'm gonna, if I had anything to puke, I'd puke it.
Luckily, the next thing I have to practice is mokso, which we're going to meditate for 5 minutes, and it really does help me come down off of all that exercise.
That was very relaxing. Oh, let's have some breakfast. Oh, my ankles. Oh God, they're broken.
Now I'm in my element. What are we having for breakfast? Yoshinoya style gyudon. This is super simple to put together. And I'm just starting with some sliced white onions.
I also have 1 large burdock. This is a very, very large burdock root. I could probably use this as my shinai.
I always say keep playing with your food, but maybe don't use it as your shinai. This is super simple. I'm just peeling it back and cutting it into nice juliennes or like slivers. Just cut it however you want, or use a carrot, or don't use it. I'm also making some onsen eggs, which are really simple to make.
And then this is just gonna go back on the stove, keeping it around that 150 degrees Fahrenheit for about half an hour.
And while those eggs are going, I gotta chop up all of this cabbage.
Look at how much bulk that is. This was $2.50 worth of food.
I'm going to make so many beef rice bowls with this.
Now, we make the beef.
But before we make the beef, we have to make the sauce. And for the sauce, I'm using water and suyu broth, which you can pick up on Amazon after you've drank most of it.
That's too much. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Maybe, don't drink concentrated soup broth. Dump all of your onions directly in your soup broth along with your bardock and just simmer this until everything is nice and tender.
Perfect. Okay. Here's where it gets weird.
We have to remove all of the onions and burdock from the soup broth and then throw in the beef because we are making enough for about 3 or 4 days worth of this stuff.
There's a lot of steak in here. You see that? Enhance over here, this one, enhance. Okay, right here. Look how quick that's cooking. And after probably like 5 minutes total, this beef is ready to go. I'm having like nightmare flashbacks of that Persona 5 mega beef bowl I made a very long time ago.
I'm still sweating meat sweats from that Persona 5 beef bowl. I'm removing all of the beef out of here so this way I can reduce the sauce. The sauce is the last piece of the puzzle along with this cooled down rice. Now we have to layer this like ogres, starting with the sauce, followed by a bunch of your beef and then a giant handful of cabbage.
Oh, I forgot the onions and the burdock. After the beef, we do a big portion of the onions and burdock, then cabbage.
At least he realized his mistake and then got to portioning out his rice.
This is all of the rice we're getting. I know some of you guys in the comments are like, I eat 8 times that because I also have all of this. This is a lot.
I have a total of 3 portions of this meal prep.
Now this is all of our meal prep. 3 different giant Yoshinoya bowls to go. The problem is it's severely miscalculated and this is actually all we have. So I'm just gonna eat one of these right now.
And this is super easy. Plop down your rice first, making sure it's on the bottom, followed by everything else right on top.
Oh yes. Look at how beautiful, just, for coming out of this container, that's pretty good. Then the onsen egg.
Admittedly, this onsen egg did not onsen the way it's supposed to onsen and kind of just soft boiled, so I had to peel it.
I basically get all of this giant thing of food.
But I can't forget the ginger.
Hope for the money shot, which sounds very dirty. Nope, that absolutely overcooked. Sauce is really rich, beef is still tender, onions are really nice. For those of you who care, here's the macros right over here for this breakfast, lunch, dinner. I'm gonna take down this entire thing. I'll see you at the gym.
Now the gym session isn't as important as training for Kendo, so what I'm really focusing on is making sure that all of my exercises link back to Kendo in some way. This means I'm doing a lot of unilateral training, which means I'm working on basically one leg or one arm at a time and really focusing on a lot of bodyweight exercises as well. On top of that, I'm doing a lot of twisting from the core because yes, you have to swing a sword, or that's what I tell myself anyways. Just left the gym. That Yoshinoya bowl went down like an hour ago, maybe, and I do not feel great, but I still have to go do the second set of Kendo training. I'm gonna do that right now. Like right now. I need to do the second session of Kendo for the day. I'm knocking out all of my footwork, which is 5 minutes once again, followed by 5 minutes of overhead swings. This is getting extremely difficult and it's only day 1.
Shoulders obliterated, gone, non-existent. These guys,
And even after all of that, I still had to do 1 minute of my overhead swing cardio. Luckily, I get to finish it off with 5 minutes of meditation before I get ready to make some lunch.
Time for lunch at 15 p.m. Getting up hurts.
Now listen, after all of that exercise, I am absolutely treating myself to one of my favorite bakeries. This is Cafe 85 and they serve Taiwanese style baked goods. And I'm absolutely getting a chocolate bun because Ichigo loves chocolate. Oh, I'm also having a protein shake with this.
Don't clip this. This is actually a very sad meal, but I'm not gonna eat this here. I have something I wanna show you guys. So I'm actually gonna enjoy my pastries at the new podcast setup that we have. And yes, we're starting a podcast, my friend Emily and I, and it's gonna be called the Food Taku Podcast. I'm gonna throw a link down below where you guys can subscribe. I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of this taro bread. I'm gonna try this chocolate one and get back to this podcast. Oh, baby.
Dinner is about to get wild after that podcast. I'm making some egg and chicken oyakudon style sandwiches. Does that even make sense? I have one whole chicken breast that I'm cutting in half, and then we're gonna sear this off with just a little bit of salt and pepper.
When I got this today, yeah, see that? Little splash guard.
Now while the chicken is cooking to the side, I'm gonna take some of the leftover eggs from the gyudon and start our filling. I'm also gonna throw in some really nice Japanese style pickles.
This provides quite a bit of salt too, so keep that in mind.
I'm also amping this up with some chili crunch, which makes it nice and spicy, a bit of my fresh multigrain bread, a big squeeze of Kewpie mayo, mixing this all together, and then I'm also going to make a little cabbage slaw with some of the leftover cabbage, a bunch of mustard, some rice wine vinegar, throw this onto a bigger plate because you decided to use a small bowl like a dum-dum, then grab all of your bread, place a hefty portion of your egg onto each slice that now cooked chicken, lay it right on top of that egg, trying to portion it out as evenly as possible, hit it with a bunch of your slaw, cut that bread in half, and now you have 3 egg salad sandos.
Cheers. That is actually amazing. The eggs are creamy, salty, spicy. Tomorrow morning, we're doing 6 minutes of everything. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, it's day 2, and I just got word that my friend Chesa at Baker's Prairie has apple cider donuts available today. And they open in 30 minutes, and they sold out yesterday. I think we're gonna go get some. First, I gotta feed these guys. Yeah, Alf. Do you want breakfast? Do you want breakfast? Yeah. How about you, Lucian, do you want breakfast? You're just so special over there.
Before we get our day started, we have to feed our cat overlords because that is the law of the land.
But after donut and coffee, we're gonna have training. No, we're gonna have training and then donuts and coffee. Let's get day 2 started.
I arrived at the bakery just as they opened, so there were plenty of donuts left. I want to make sure that I get in my 6 minutes of kendo training this morning. This means 6 minutes of footwork followed by 6 minutes of overhead swings. This adds an additional minute to what I did yesterday. Not that Lucian cares at all.
Now, for cardio.
Now for today's cardio, I actually have to do 1.5 minutes worth versus the 1 minute from yesterday.
Oh, I made it! Oh, holy, I stopped right on time. Oh my God. I didn't think I was gonna go the full minute and a half. Oh man. Okay, meditation time. Whew.
Now I know this 6 minutes of meditation just looks like a picture, but look at Gandalf. Got him.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Let's have some breakfast.
And breakfast is exciting. I'm making a mango smoothie along with an oyakudon or a chicken and egg rice bowl. This is super simple. This is leftover chicken from yesterday, followed by leftover onions from yesterday.
You don't always need to make everything from scratch, trust me. I'm gonna microwave this for like 60 seconds. Make everything from scratch.
My friend Emily actually mentioned she enjoys having smoothies for breakfast out in Tokyo. So this is going to be a mango and yogurt smoothie. It's frozen chunks of mango from Costco, of course, along with some Costco Greek yogurt, of course, and just blend it smooth with some coconut milk.
Smoothie, done.
This is a very large smoothie. I had to actually put this in around a 25-ounce jar just to make sure it could all fit in there. Hit it with a boba straw, and now we can finish up our breakfast. I have some of our rice that I microwaved, along with the other fixins that I microwaved. One of those onsen, not really onsen eggs right on top, a bit of furikake to give it a bit of spice of life, a touch of soy sauce to kind of amp it up, of course my pickled ginger, and breakfast is ready.
So this breakfast surprisingly comes out to almost 850 calories, but it's really compact. There's a lot of it in this, right? In this smoothie here, and then some of it in this rice bowl. Oh, that's perfect. No? A little microwave action? How's this mango shake? Oh, it's so good. That's really refreshing. Let's take this down. I'll see you at the gym.
I'm starting my gym session by really focusing on the shoulders and making sure those are nice and loose because they have been really sore. I followed it up with some deep squats, followed by some lunges just to make sure you work on the legs and the booty because every day is leg day. Then of course you have to work on the chesticles because you need to swing that sword. I did a random cartwheel for some reason because the gym was empty. Finished it up with some chin-ups and then finished it up with some more shoulder exercises. Second workout of the day is done. I'm gonna grab a coffee, start making lunch, then we're gonna do kendo practice, then we're gonna do dinner, and I think I'm gonna do a third kendo practice. I'm overreaching for that, but I'm really just thinking about getting in that donut.
Okay. I'm still very sore from working out. Now we gotta do swings.
Now remember, this is the second set of the day. This means I'm doing 6 minutes for day 2 of each of these exercises. By the time I got towards the end of the swinging practice, I was incredibly sore and incredibly tired, but I still had to bust out 1.5 minutes worth of cardio. I took my time here because I really felt like I just couldn't make it to the end at full speed, and that's okay. We're building up to the final moment before we train with Sensei. During my meditation, I tried to think about how much more training I had to do throughout the week, and even Gandalf was kind of disturbed by how much I had to do.
I gotta admit, I was thinking about that donut the entire time. So I'm gonna go eat that now.
I finally get to indulge in this apple cider donut, but first I'm gonna slap on this really cool sticker Rachel gave me and then pour out a giant portion worth of yogurt, just a bit of fresh fruit to make me feel better about myself, and then we're going to top it off with that apple cider donut. I was so excited about the donut while editing, I almost forgot to describe it to you guys.
That's one of the best donuts I've ever had in my entire life. So, you know how I was editing earlier? I took a nap instead. So let's go make dinner. It's gonna be really good, I promise. Oh my god, I feel like I got hit by a truck.
And dinner is going to be a 4-ingredient white miso salmon.
I'm officially halfway awake and we're gonna cook up all of this salmon. This is 4 pounds of salmon. You may be asking, Paul, why are you doing that much salmon? So I can actually be a little bit lazy day 3 and 4.
Now the miso salmon is super simple. I have maybe 3 or 4 ounces worth of white miso. I'm adding in just a touch of hot water to loosen it up, adding in water as needed to make sure it turns into a paste. Then I'm going to sweeten this with some really nice organic honey, or you can use sugar if you have that. This is all we need for this salmon. It's that easy.
Big side of salmon, that's nice. Good thing Gandalf's not here. Can I fit this whole thing on here? Yes.
This actually doesn't fit on here quite right, so I am cutting off just the tail of the salmon, throwing that back onto the tray, and then completely coating this thing in that white miso honey glaze. This is so good and so simple, you have to try this. Now I'm just baking this at 400 Fahrenheit for about 25 minutes.
Now the sides for this are gonna be really simple. I have some mushrooms that I have, and I also have all of that cabbage, and we're just gonna char it up on the stove.
Into a large, really hot wok, I'm gonna throw in just a bit of oil, followed by my mushrooms, saute those up, giving it a little bit of wok hay, making sure they get nice and toasty. Once they have a bit of color on the mushrooms, this is when I actually season it with some salt and black pepper, throw it into the bowl on the side, then throw in your cabbage, making sure you saute that down, and then adding your mushrooms back in. After that, all of your veggies should be done, and your salmon should be done too, but there's just one little thing I like to do. I like to char up my salmon with a torch, just to give it a bit more color and a little more texture. I'm measuring out a big portion of white rice, followed by a lot of my vegetables, and then about 12 ounces worth of that miso salmon, and a ton of green onions, and that's dinner.
This is a hefty plate of food. I felt like I needed more fiber in this diet because yesterday I basically had none, so this is most of it. There's so much food. It's just like butter. There's no resistance cutting into it. Cheers. It is butter. It's basically butter. All of today's training was worth it for this.
And so begins the journey to days 3 and 4. Days 3 and 4 started off just the same. I fed my cats, and I made sure I made myself a nice strong cup of coffee.
I'm so sore right now that even just holding up this water pot feels very difficult.
This is my lifeblood right now. I absolutely need this for what's to come. Now days 3 and 4 did feel more of the same. In the morning, I practiced all of my kendo training, making sure I did 7 minutes on day 3 and 8 minutes on day 4. The thing is I really started to feel super fatigued during these days. During my cardio session, I really didn't think I was going to get through it, but I somehow made it all the way over to my meditation session. After meditating for either the 7 or 8 minutes, depending on the day, I actually had basically the same breakfast each of the days, and I didn't even realize it. After having that smoothie, I ended up at the gym each day, whether or not I was working on some stretching or watching Haikyuu while I was on the treadmill. And for lunch, I just went for those leftovers. I was either microwaving the gyudon or having that leftover salmon from the previous days, making sure I ate it all up. After lunch each of the days, I had my second set of kendo training, and my fatigue was setting in very hard at this point. I still have 2 more full days of practice to get through, but I have to put something else that's way more important first.
I mistakenly scheduled this entire thing during our anniversary, so I'd be lying to you if I said that I'm cooking everything at home. We're gonna eat tacos. Some things are more important than video, right? If Ichigo knew what's up, he'd be having dinner with Orihime.
Day 4's dinner wasn't as exciting as Day 3's tacos, but I am having some really good leftover egg salad sandwiches, and with that, Day 4 is done. But Day 5 is really a struggle, guys.
Good morning, welcome to Day 5. I'd be lying to you if I said I'm not just a little bit tired from the previous 12 workout sessions plus all of that meal prep. I've gotten a little bit bored of some of the meals I've been having, so I'm actually gonna be making Tanjiro's rice bowl today. That sounds really, really good. I don't know why. I also bought coffee today.
After sipping on that coffee, we feed our cat overlords like we do every morning, and then I begin 9 minutes worth of training for each section. That means 9 minutes of footwork, followed by 9 minutes of overhead swings, and then 2.5 minutes worth of cardio. I cannot explain to you how difficult this was becoming to try to do this cardio. And not only that, but this is just the first session of the day. I was already gassed. Luckily, when it comes down to the meditation, it kind of cools me down a bit, and meditating for 9 minutes isn't easy either. After getting through my meditation, I changed it up just a little bit, trying to make myself a banana peanut butter protein smoothie. This was just 2 frozen bananas along with a little bit of that coconut milk, some of the Greek yogurt, a bit of cottage cheese to up the protein amount, some PB2 powder, which gives it a nice peanut butter flavor, and then just a touch of cocoa powder. Now, when I mixed this up together, I ended up putting in a little bit too much coconut milk, and I think if I make this again, I'm just gonna try to make it thicker, but I'm gonna enjoy this before my gym session. And I will admit, this gym session wasn't the best. I was absolutely gassed, so I just focused on using some deep movements and some body weight stuff, which now this is just my butt in the air, apparently. This is what that is. Let's just go make some lunch.
Just got back from the gym, and this is the only thing I have the capacity to make right now. Tanjiro's chicken.
Tanjiro's chicken rice bowl is actually super simple. I'm just making a marinade of sake, soy sauce, mirin, and a bit of mayonnaise. I'm also throwing in some sriracha because I like some spice. I whisk that all up, and then I'm just filleting some chicken breast. This actually does taste a lot better with chicken thigh, but I had a ton of chicken breasts on hand, so I'm just gonna be using those. I'm throwing all of my chicken breast into my marinade, making sure it marinates for around half an hour, while Rachel tells me that mayonnaise is the most disgusting thing on the planet.
Smash like if you like mayo. I love mayonnaise. You've driven me to this. This is your fault. Oh. Delicious.
Please don't attempt that at home. Just make sure you marinate your chicken for around half an hour. You can also go 3 or 4 hours. It really doesn't matter too much. Place this onto whatever baking tray you want. Also, this tastes amazing grilled or in a saute pan, but I was being lazy, so I'm gonna bake this at around 400 degrees Fahrenheit for around 25 minutes, just until all that chicken is nice and cooked. The mayonnaise ends up cooking off, so you don't really taste too much of it, but you still get to do the happy dance because it tastes delicious. I'm chopping up around 2 or 3 of these chicken breast pieces because I wanted a ton of protein here. I have some of my rice that I have had for the past 3 or 4 days that I then just microwave, and I'm dumping all of the chicken on top. This is not pretty, but it is delicious. I'm topping it off with just a touch more QP mayo, followed by a bunch of chopped cabbage because yes, I prepped way too much of it, a ton of nori or seaweed, and then a bunch of green onions because I need those in my life, and then finally the pickled ginger because that is going to go on everything. And there is the Tanjiro rice bowl.
So this is day number 5 of this Kendo Ichigo challenge, and not gonna lie, very exhausting. I mentioned that this morning and I thought I'd be feeling okay throughout the rest of the day, but I'm very tired. I'm gonna be eating dinner and then have one more session of Kendo to do. Haven't had that much of an appetite, so I'm eating just to eat at this point. Oh, really good.
I'm going to admit, I ate this rice bowl in complete silence. No TV, no music, no nothing. Just kind of taking it in. I had to still get in my evening kendo practice, which did feel like I was just doing it just to do it. This is 9 more minutes of each of my exercises, followed by the 2.5 minutes of the cardio session, which is just gassing me, especially after that very large rice bowl. I barely could get through this one. This one was really tough, and knowing that I still had another full day of training before my test really was just kind of daunting, and getting to my point where I really was just looking forward to the meditation so I could cool down.
Arigatou gozaimasu. I'm gonna be real with you guys. Day 5 feels like I got hit by a truck. I'm gonna go have myself a very sad plate of salmon because I'm really exhausted, get some rest, and give day 6 my all. And it just kind of goes to show you, like, no matter how many years in a profession you have, no matter how many hours you spend, right? You can still hit a wall, and that's okay.
And that wall, honestly, is becoming any kind of creative with my food right now. At this point, I'm just eating the salmon because I have it laying around and it's ready to go and it's easy. And this could be anyone. This could be you throwing in a microwave dinner. This could be you just making a simple cup of noodles at the end of the day because you're exhausted. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, I spent a bunch of time and energy prepping this stuff out, so I'm going to use it, but I wasn't really looking forward to it. This is just some leftover rice I had laying around with another giant piece of tofu. And after, yes, microwaving my salmon, I just hit it with a torch just to give it some semblance of it being nice. At this point, I didn't want to stand, I didn't want to function. I brought Gandalf over and he was way more interested in the dinner than I was, trying to fight him back for it. He really wouldn't let me eat, and I'm very thankful for him because he does make me really, really happy. But I wanted to just take in this dinner, knowing that I only had one day left, knowing that I'm eating for sustenance, and knowing that really this is all of us. This is all of us just trying to get through the day and trying to get through whatever it is you're trying to get through. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with leaning in on hard days and taking them for what they are. Because when you do that, it makes the good days really, really good. And so begins day 6, and it's a double-fisted coffee kind of day.
I'm going to admit, my sleep quality has been pretty terrible, possibly from eating too late, more than normal, but more than likely from overtraining. And here's the game plan for day 6. Kendo training in the morning, recovery. Kendo training in the evening, sleep well. Let's get to work.
We have 10 minutes of each exercise, but first we feed our cat overlords to keep them happy, and then we begin 10 minutes of each of our exercises. That's 10 minutes of footwork, making sure we keep Lucian happy with our performance, followed by 10 minutes of overhead swings. The overhead swings ended up becoming so painful to my shoulders because of that repetitive movement. That shinai doesn't weigh too much, but once you do 10 minutes of this multiple times per day, you're going to really start to feel it. I had a really hard time finishing up the overhead swing, so I tried to take my time with it, making sure I at least got through the set. Then it came down to 3 minutes. Yes, 3 minutes of cardio. This became so difficult at this point, and this is just the first session of the day. I was able to get through it and then finally get in 10 minutes worth of meditation. 10 minutes worth of meditation isn't the easiest for me. Luckily, I had Lucian that came by to make sure he showed his support for this last day of training. I didn't realize he was there. He was so quiet and just being so adorable that it was a nice surprise to kind of open my eyes to, and I really appreciated him being there, and hopefully you guys too. Now, for that sandwich. This sandwich is going to be a very, very thick tamago yaki, which is a Japanese style egg omelet sandwich. I'm going to be layering all of my eggs, making sure I get them as thick and as tight as possible, which sounds very etchy, and get that out of your head. I'm just making eggs, guys. And remember after I had my coffee? Yeah, I went and got a bagel.
I wanted a bagel today. It's day 6. I think I get my bagel.
You can have your bagel, buddy. It's okay. Now, with the bagel toasting and the egg ready, I am smearing just a bit of cheese onto my bagel, and then being a Neanderthal, cutting my egg omelet in half versus slicing it and just stacking this thing. I just wanted to put this all up in my mouth. I topped it off with some leftover onions from the Tanjiro bowl, because that's amazing.
That is a silly sandwich. Look at this.
I'm just gonna attempt to insert this entire thing directly into my mouth. This is probably a poor choice.
There's too much egg.
It's never too much egg. It might be too much egg for this next session of training, because this might hurt a little bit. Day 6, workout 2, 10 minutes again. Let's do it. After that amazing and very, very filling egg sandwich, this exercise felt like I was not really walking on clouds. It felt very, very hard after that. But knowing that this was my very last session of practice before my test got me going a little bit. I wanted to make sure I gave it my all. I tried not to stop too often, even if my shoulders were on fire, even if my legs were hurting, even if this cardio made me want to kind of throw up that egg sandwich that was really amazing. I slowed down, I took my time, I made sure that I at least got the movements down. Sometimes when you practice these things, it's better to get through the practice than it is to give it 100%. I finally made it to my meditation and was able to sit for 10 minutes and really reflect on everything I've done this week. I've never done anything like this, and I will say I'm very proud to be here. Day 6 is in the bag. One more day to go before I test with Tilt Sensei. I have no clue how I'm gonna do, but it's time for one last meal.
I get to have myself one more meal before tomorrow's test.
I microwave my rice once again. I'm eating raw cabbage right out of the container. I'm mixing up the rice with a bit of harissa just to give it a little bit of kick and make me feel something. I'm steaming the cabbage in the microwave. Ladies and gentlemen, these things are fine when you're exhausted. You're just trying to feed yourself. I topped off my rice bowl with some more salmon. I microwaved that thing again, and then I torched it just to give it some life. Green onions, ginger, you know the drill.
This is the last dinner I get to have before my test tomorrow, and I will say, as exhausted as I am, I'm very thankful that I get to do this. And I really hope I do Tilt Sensei proud. I'm gonna enjoy this, go relax just a little bit, try to get some sleep in because tomorrow's a big day. I'll see you guys there. Friends, it's day 7. It's testing day. Hot. I also have a surprise for him, and I think he's gonna be really happy about it.
Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. It is test day, so I'm feeding the cats one more time before I leave the house, stopping by Owajimaya to pick up some of my favorite Japanese convenience store snacks, as well as a beautiful knife as a gift for Tilt Sensei. I can't wait to see what he thinks of it. So I stuffed my face with my Spam musubi, and then we brought ourselves over to Tilt Sensei's dojo. Even after a week of training, I feel like I'm not ready for this test.
So we're back. It's been 7 days since we first met in that first training session, and I still feel the on the calf. That was good. It felt really good. Since then, I did what you told me to do, all the homework, right, that you'd emailed me. But I started with 5 minutes of each training. So the steps, the swings, mokuso, and then also the cardio portion, which I don't remember the name of. I did that for 1 minute. Then the following day, I went 6 minutes of each and 1.5 minutes of cardio, and then 7 minutes, and then 2 minutes of cardio, 8 minutes. I did that all the way to 10 minutes of each thing, which was, it was very exhausting. And I did that twice per day, once in the morning, once in the evening. So by the end of it, I put together almost an hour worth of training of what you had shown me, plus total body workout during the day and eating. It was a lot, but I learned a lot. So that's kind of what I did to hopefully like do a little bit better today.
That is really hardcore. I would say that even, best students of mine don't do that. They don't take it that seriously. They don't train twice a day. They don't add 1 minute per day. That is really advanced.
I will admit, getting to the 8 minute mark, once I hit that, I was like, oh, this is getting hard.
In 2 weeks, you went from somebody who's never even started to postgraduate beginner class, and that's usually when we invite people to wear hakama and gi. So what do you think about changing into one?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm down.
Let's do it.
Okay, it's good. You don't have to film us changing.
No.
That's awkward. No.
Sorry. No camera women.
What kind of JoJo character would I be if I didn't show you guys putting on my gi? This takes a lot of effort, and this actually took us around 15 minutes to put everything on, but it felt so powerful to actually have on.
And you just want to... This is OnlyFans footage.
This is OnlyFans. Yeah, OnlyPans, where there's only pictures of cast iron.
OnlyFans?
Think we did it?
You look real. Yeah. Because you look a lot scarier with flatter hair. It looks much more serious.
Nothing about me is serious.
Doesn't this look good?
With my hair flattened and my hakama on, I'm ready to be tested. Before we begin, we have to practice our seiza. This is our breathing exercise before we get into some intense work. And so begins the first test. This is where we practice our footwork to see just how far I've come in 1 week.
Go. Go. Shich. Hach. Kyu.
Ayame.
Ju.
Okay, so still the left foot's a little bit slow.
Dragging.
Why don't you try it on your own one time to see if you can fix that. So remember, you want to snap it up. Pum.
The first round of footwork just wasn't good enough, so I wanted to make sure I gave it a second shot, making sure I dragged that back foot in because speed is key here. With a little help from Sensei, I felt a lot more confident.
Go.
Hey, hajime.
Hajime. Reach. Ni. San.
That's better.
Shi. Go.
And after Sensei's approval, I moved on to the overhead men swings. These were difficult.
Shi.
So that's pretty good. That's good improvement. Like, you got good power, but now a little bit more relaxed when you pum. So I'm more remember the casting the rock? Mm-hmm. And if you're too stiff, the rock doesn't go very far. And if you relax more, pum.
A lot of the times when I test for things like this, I stiffen up too much, and having Sensei just tell me to relax a little bit took me so much further than I could have thought.
That's awesome. That right there, that is good. Do you want to show me the L pattern footwork? All right.
Next up was more movements. This is the L pattern that I had been practicing all week, hoping that I could actually make this look halfway decent.
Oh yeah, man. That's much better.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
There were a lot of steps this past week.
Yeah, I bet.
Next up was Hayasuburi. This was the cardio section.
Ni. San. Shi. Ha.
That's good. Ayame. So your form, everything looks really nice, except that you're cutting on the wrong footwork. So you want to cut this way. Mm-hmm.
After a bit of correction from Sensei, I felt like I had the right direction now. I was just cutting the wrong way, and I really wanted to show him how good, or hopefully how good I have gotten at this section. This was the most difficult thing for me to do all week, and I was really happy with how it came out.
Ayame. That's excellent.
But I had one test left, the kirikaishi.
Aish.
Hey!
Faster. Yeah. Hold up.
Man!
Push. Last one go through.
Man!
There you go. Kiraishi. Hi. Arigato shot. Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
That was fun.
Yeah, you're welcome to join Kendo any day.
Thank you.
Anytime.
All the swinging was, hopefully it worked out. I feel like it did.
It did. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. There's no way you could have done that the first day.
No, not even a little bit.
Just to get a frame of reference, we usually teach kirikaishi about the 8th week into it.
Okay, so we did it in one
You-
week. I felt really good about that.
You compressed 8 weeks into 1 week.
Let's go.
Yep.
I just wanted to also show people, you do a little bit of time and dedication to stuff, you're gonna learn. You just gotta put in the effort.
I was so excited about Sensei's praise that I almost forgot to give him his gift.
And as a thank you for this past week, this is for you.
Oh. Arigato gozaimashita. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much.
It's just it's a simple thank you, and I hope you really like it.
Thank you. Well, the biggest gift is actually being a good student. That is the hardest thing to find. And so you've already given me a wonderful gift.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know you like to cook. You host parties all the time, so
Oh
hopefully
my
this makes it a
gosh.
little bit easier.
Oh, cool. I do not have any kind of a knife like
Yeah,
this.
this is actually a Japanese nakiri, and it's a traditional Japanese vegetable knife. And it's one of my favorites. So I hope you enjoy it.
This is awesome. Thank you so much.
very
I'm
welcome.
really going to enjoy this.
Thank you.
Thank
Hope
you.
like it. Yes.
Okay, well, I have something for you too.
Oh,
So let me just
Oh.
put this down for a second. So is this something that you've already been holding in your possession? And so this is one of nice kind of shinai that I like because it has an oval handle, and you've been practicing with it already.
yes.
So it already has some of you in it, has some of me in it. So I'd like you to keep it.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been sitting next to me for a week. Literally like in the kitchen area, and it's just been sitting there, boop, when I'm done. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you
Well,
so
now
much.
it can be your friend.
Yep, it smells like me.
I pushed myself in so many different ways this last week, from practicing kendo, which I've never done before, to making a variety of different meals every single day. And it was all worth it just to see how happy Tilt Sensei was with the improvement. If it weren't for anime, and in this case Bleach, I would have never tried this. It just goes to show you can get inspiration from anywhere, and that's really all I wanted you guys to get from this. So get out there and remember, keep playing with your food.
Whoa! Whoa! Ah, I'm still wearing pants. Yeah. Wow. Ultra. It's from. Oh my god! I didn't think about that. No, it's from an anime. Now it's a condom commercial.